All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Wes Rades, Bay Nature's Executive Director, and on behalf of our entire team, a very warm welcome to Bay Nature's 14th Annual Local Hero Awards. Thanks to all of you, this afternoon's event is entirely sold out and has been sold out for the last 2 weeks. So thank you all for being here this afternoon. For those of you meeting us for the very first time, Bay Nature is an independent, nonprofit media organization devoted to environmental journalism covering the San Francisco Bay Area. We publish Bay Nature magazine and produce events that bring our stories to life, connect you directly with experts in the field, and deepen our relationships with nature and with each other. For those of you who follow Bay Nature closely, you already know that we are an organization on the move. A year ago, I stood on this stage at the Local Hero Awards and promised that your voices would help shape our organization's next chapter. Since then, we have heard your thoughts through surveys, focus groups, conversations, and a lot of one-on-one meetings, and then developed a plan that launched our new Bay Nature membership program that we brought out to you in this past January. As a result, it's my great pleasure to welcome you today, not only as Bay Nature readers, as our donors, as our supporters, as the supporters of one of today's great honorees, but also as members of an essential San Francisco Bay Area nature community whose ideas and stewardship are shaping a more equitable and sustainable future for us all. We'll talk a lot more about what that means this afternoon. So because this afternoon is all about community, I want to ask first to start by asking a favor from all of you. I wonder if this is your first time attending a Bay Nature event, if you'd raise your hand for me, if this is your first time with us. Fantastic. Okay, keep those hands up, keep those hands up, keep those hands up. Okay, now, if you're one of the folks who has attended a Bay Nature event in the past, I wonder whether you would lean over, extend a hand, a fist bump, a few kind words, and welcome these people. And when all these hands go down, we know we will all know each other. All right, fantastic. Okay, we're all good? All right, we all know each other now. Fantastic, no strangers among us. Now I feel like we can get started. So today's Local Hero Award celebration cannot happen without the contributions of many people. So first I want to start by thanking our lead sponsors, and you're gonna have to bear with me because there are a lot of them. I'd like to thank the Federated Indians of Great and Rancheria, the East Bay Regional Park District, the Peninsula Open Space Trust, the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District, Bioneers, the Elkhorn Slough Foundation, McGuire and Hester, Google, the Sonoma Land Trust, ChangeScale, Civicor, the Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy, San Francisco State University and its Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, and Sierra Nevada Field Campus, and Save the Redwoods League, along with Nancy and Bart Westcott, Jorgen Hildebrand, and Barbara Bessie. We have to say thank you to all of our sponsors this afternoon. They're incredible. There are 45 sponsors this afternoon, which is phenomenal. We could not produce this event without all of you. So I hope we can all give our sponsors a great round of applause. Next, Bay Nature's dedicated board, who so generously contribute their time, their professional expertise, their relationships, and their financial resources to our mission. We're also joined this afternoon by Bay Nature's co-founder, David Loeb, and I'm hopeful that all of our board members, David, if you'd raise your hands, please, so that we can recognize all of you. And finally, Bay Nature's tireless staff. They invite you to share your feedback with them, to help spread our message, and to feed them with story ideas, nature fun facts, and especially chocolate around the holidays. Please keep sending that. Would Bay Nature staff members please raise your hands so that we can recognize you? And of course, my final appreciation is for all of you, our Bay Nature community. Over the past year, it's all of you who've given us the confidence to boldly declare that Bay Nature is more than a magazine. It nourishes all those who identify with nature in the San Francisco Bay Area. From our pages, truly a community grows. My hope then is that this afternoon, you feel like you found your people, that you feel like you're in a room with your people. Even as we recognize leaders among us, Dr. Katharyn Boyer, Yakuta Poonawalla, Kellyx Nelson, and Naji Lockett, we also celebrate all of you and the efforts by individuals, organizations, and agencies around the area to make local nature and environmental issues part of daily life. Gathering each year at the Local Hero Awards reminds us that there is nature everywhere. It's common ground that inspires us, binds us, and fortifies us to continue doing the important work of caring for people and our natural world. So now it's my great pleasure to kick off this year's Local Hero Awards by introducing you to Bay Nature's Editor-in-Chief, Victoria Schlesinger. Thanks for being here today.
It is great to see this as a full house. All right. Is that good? All right. Thank you, Wes. So, in the editorial wing of Bay Nature, which includes about 6 of us, 5 sometimes, where we are figuring out what the stories are that we should report and publish, there's really one primary idea that is guiding us. And that is, how do we serve people interested in nature in the San Francisco Bay Area? And that's all of you and many, many others who aren't here today. One of the most important ways we do that, in my opinion, is by being independent. That means we're, as Wes said, an independent nonprofit media organization. We're not beholden to anyone's goals from a particular nonprofit, agency, company, or individual. We're really beholden to a set of values that I think benefit us all. Our stories value nature, they value people, they value diverse ideas, they value truth, accuracy, and probably above all, good news and humor. We're really trying to serve you by winning your trust. We're trying to be trustworthy journalists. We're doing that by listening, by inviting your feedback, and, excuse me, lost my train of thought, and by soliciting your feedback, listening. And we're doing the hard work of fact-checking our articles. I say this every year, but I'm going to say it again. Not a lot of media organizations take the time to fact-check what they publish. We do. We put a lot of time and energy into finding primary sources for every sentence that we publish. And, when we get something wrong, because we do, we're human, we really welcome that feedback, we take responsibility for it, and we run corrections. By far the most fun way that we get to serve all of you is by trying to figure out how to engage your curiosity in the natural world around us. You're going to see later in the video photos of chorus frogs, elephant seals, astronomy, the night sky. You've seen in the latest cover of Bay Nature, Dos Rios, the newest state park in 15 years, or the first state park, I should say, in 15 years in California. And in fact, I hear that the director of the California Department of State Parks is in the house, Armando. I very much look forward to hearing your unvarnished feedback on that article. So we are, we're writing about the natural world, species in it, but we're also writing about people, of course, the heroes that we're all here today to celebrate. And we are increasingly, what I think is really fun, is we are trying to think about these stories not just as something you read on the page of a magazine or a website, but how can we create a conversation around it. So we invite you to join us in our online conversations about these stories, Bay Nature Talks, where you can hear from experts, where you can ask questions. We're also really thinking about how we can get you outside to experience these stories. And maybe that's going on a hike or visiting a park, which is something David Loeb has brought to Bay Nature from the beginning. Now we're also trying to think about, all right, if we've reported a story on a tough issue, can we take you to that research site? Can we take you to the place where the restoration is happening and let you ask your own questions to experts? So it's a really fun time, exciting time of growth at Bay Nature, and I really just want to extend my thanks on behalf of the editorial staff for trusting us, for believing in independent nonprofit media, and for your great story ideas. So, it is now my pleasure to introduce Leah Keener, Bay Nature's current Outreach Fellow.
Hello. The first day I met Yakuta, she gave me a ride on her scooter. We had just met, but immediately I felt at ease, comfortable, laughing and screaming with joy as she wheeled us around the streets of San Francisco. That's who Yakuta is. She makes you feel cared for and shows you that you belong. Yakuta touches countless lives in the Bay Area through her role as Associate Director of Community Stewardship and Engagement with the Golden Gate National Park Conservancy, where she has worked for 10 years. In this role and with her team, Yakuta creates programming that connects Bay Area communities with each other and with nature, working to widen circles and promote inclusivity in the outdoors. Some of this programming includes wellness and wildflower walks at the Presidio, birding hikes on Hawk Hill, and conversations around topics like what kind of ancestor do you want to be. She also facilitates stewardship events that highlight cultural observances like Eid, Diwali, and Dia de los Muertos, encouraging people to appreciate the multicultural landscape of the Bay Area and to see themselves and their cultures and customs in nature as they plant native species, tend parklands, and learn about local wildlife. In addition to her work at the Golden Gate National Park Conservancy, Yakuta also serves on the California Landscape Stewardship Network's Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Roundtable and on the board of Together Bay Area. As Yakuta says, she's always asking herself, how do I use my power and privilege? How do I support these communities? And she does this every day through her work. We are all made better for it. Thank you, Yakuta, for all that you do and for shining your light in the Bay Area. On behalf of Bay Nature, I'd like to present the 2024 Community Hero Award to Yakuta Poonawalla.
And we love reflective questions. So while you pass those around, I'm going to take a moment to get settled here. Thank you all for being here. My heart is exploding for all the right reasons. And I'm deeply connecting with you all. Where's the clicker? Oh, right. My dear beloved community gathered here today, in my last name Poonawalla, Walla is a suffix which means of Poona, the city I was born and raised in. My ancestors moved around to follow various trades, and the places they ended up in often became their last names. To be of Poona means that I'm made up of the soil, air, water that has given me life, and the deep relationships I hold with people there. Now, having worked with the Golden Gate National Parks for 11 years, I can confidently say that I have become a parkwala. To become off the park has meant building a community from scratch, reorienting my senses, and establishing new roots. Because how could I continue to grow without strong roots? To feel at home here is a huge gift. And without your support and trust and love and care, becoming a Parkwala would not have been possible for me. I grew up on the 6th floor of an apartment building surrounded by several other buildings that are so close to each other that you can look into your neighbor's home and know what they're cooking for a meal, or watch a television show with them without leaving the comforts of your home. But where one could have focused on the mundane, clotheslines and other paraphernalia, for young Yakuta's impressionable mind, other observations were far more interesting and illuminating. Her neighbors' caring nature towards the only potted plant they had, or the spreading of breadcrumbs on window ledges every morning for the arrival of the pigeons and crows. I was noticing the intertwined daily rites and rituals of humans and nature, the rising and setting of the sun and the moon, the symphony at dawn comprising of the azan, which is a Muslim call to prayer, mixed in with the mesmerizing calls of the pigeons and the crows and the parrots and the kites and the koels and the howling of street dogs. Some neighbors walked to the market every morning accompanied by these bird songs and flowers in their hands, while others lit candles and incense at dusk with urban bats flying overhead. My entire world was shaped within this tiny radius, a social, religious, and multicultural hub where the routines and rhythms of humans and nature are entangled and inseparable. To me, this world was filled with warmth and liveliness, an environment of belonging. Oh, I have to point here. An environment of belonging where no one felt secluded or isolated, but a sense of interconnectedness. Ma and Dad referred to this warm, alive feeling as vasti, and at first subconsciously, but then today very intentionally, I strive to bring this feeling to our parks here. I have witnessed firsthand that when we start from a place of love, care, curiosity, and attentiveness, our hearts and minds that comprise of our individual identities, faiths, and beliefs can challenge the existing dogmas and systems that divide, dominate, and separate, and instead create conditions where all life can thrive and belong. Over the years, my park family and I have built and nurtured community programs that bring this vasti to our parks, with our backpacks full of tools and approaches that not just restore natural habitat, but faith and hope in our parks. We've turned park programs into places for growing our solidarity with local indigenous people, safe healing spaces for communities displaced by poverty, climate change, and wars, places of allyship for communities facing gender-based oppression, places where artists can explore their nature connections, and outdoor classrooms where our youth can develop phenomenal leadership and offer the creative solutions for the challenges we face today. Following the seasons of nature and inspired by worldwide cultural observances, our programs turn into reflective gathering spaces, offering a window of curiosity, awe, and wonder, just like the one I had while growing up in India. We've transformed trailheads and parking lots into vibrant and safe settings where communities have celebrated Dia de los Muertos and lit clay lamps to celebrate Diwali, a festival of lights. We've drawn henna art inspired by the flora and fauna of the park during Eid, hosted story time under oak trees, impersonated monarch butterflies and raptors to the beat of Bollywood music, and sang hymns and devotional songs with interfaith groups, all on a fabulous stage provided by the thriving coastal habitat. Growing up, the closest thing to a safe park in my neighborhood was the parking lot between our buildings, where my friends and I had learned to play amongst cars and scooters, narrow lanes, and a garden that had turned into a garbage dump. My playground was bare in nature, but it had been a fertile ground for me, feeding me joy and carefree playtime. Although I was fortunate to have an education, words like environmental conservation were new to me, and there were no role models in my community. As a teenager, I became increasingly aware of the challenges I would face as a girl growing up in India, where women were discriminated at all levels. boys following me, teasing me, and even throwing stones at me. And the expectations my community had from me as a young Muslim woman. I remember when I sat face to face in front of the male leader of my community who would threaten and question my beinghood, and I would turn inward gently, raw, and tender, and witness the rise of fierce courage and clarity. Because the spark had been lit by my early trips to the Himalayas, where I first experienced a power greater than all of us combined. Since then, all I've done is followed this spark and listened to my heart. Along the way, this is a flower for all the recognitions and all the thank yous that I'm going to share with you all. Along the way, I've been extremely fortunate that various people have taken chances on me and held my hand and taken me under their wing, allowing me to take the only little steps in the direction that I only knew. Much love and gratitude to the nuns and teachers of St. Anne's High School who created a safe multi-faith environment for us. To my Bohra community who've challenged me but have also taught me values and teachings that I lean into. Wearing a rida, which is a traditional hijab in my early years, prepared me for when our community leader, Bushra in the Tenderloin, one day asked me, Yakuta, is the park ready for 50 women in hijabs? And I knew what it would take to protect these Muslim women and create a safe space for them in the parks. To Gupte Kaka and Kaku, who ran a youth outdoor education company in Pune and gave me my first job as a nature educator when I didn't have any formal experience. To my mentors of Sophia Polytechnic in Bombay, where I gained the courage and wisdom to stand up for women's rights and to be a voice for them. To India's tribal groups, mountain people, shepherds, and farmers who first taught me about spiritual stewardship. To the monks of Spiti Valley and Nepal who inspired an elemental way of living and that community can be built in silence. To the Sierra Club staff for trusting me, even though I had literally just moved through the country with no plan and 2 suitcases. I think they were impressed with me because I found the Sierra Club wall calendar in a remote Himalayan village. To Sue Gardner, to Sharon Farrell, to Christy Rocker, to Monica Stafford, who welcomed me into the park and created such a safe space for me to grow and shine. To my larger park stewardship and community engagement community, there is no one like you, I love you. To Annie Burke, who sees me truly. To the Women's Earth Alliance for believing in my Parks as Ancestors program. To all my friends who walk with me. To all my community voices worldwide who have shared their lived experiences with me. To Amma Baba for your warmth and encouragement always. To my siblings, we've shared 1 bedroom, 2 tiny cupboards, and a study table till our mid-20s. Talk about successful collaboration. To my mom and dad, they didn't have much, but they've given me everything. To the natural world that continues to give me everything. And finally, to Bay Nature for this huge recognition. It means so much to me that I tried to write words and I couldn't. My Didi, a sister who is here amongst us, she's like a sister. She gave me this heart one day during a really tough period in our lives. And this heart hangs on my wall next to a calendar. And it reads, love all, serve all. This intention is a profound reminder for me that I need to do the internal work to be able to love all and serve all. I wish for all our families and children to feel the same abundant joy I have felt in nature, and to smell flowers, not fumes of pollution and divisiveness. Tomorrow, the sun, moon, and our earth will be in complete alignment. The day after tomorrow, many of our Muslim communities across the world will look for the same moon in anticipation of the Eid festival. Nature will yet again remind us that we're all looking for the same sun and moon, but just with different perspectives. Thank you all. Shukriya. I love you. There, it didn't move. That was the last line.
Hello. Thank you, Yakuta, for that amazing presentation. It was upside down, so I got the arrows confused. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Anushuya Thapa, and I'm Bay Nature's editorial fellow for this year. It's my first ever Local Hero Awards, and therefore it is doubly my honor to be presenting an award today. I will be introducing our 2024 Conservation Action Hero, Kellyx Nelson. Kellyx truly embodies action. As the executive director of the San Mateo County Resource Conservation District. RCDs are special districts made by the state to support other conservation actors. She's been doing this for 18 years, not a second of which, by the way, has gone to waste. She's overseen dozens of dam removals, restored miles and miles of creeks and wetlands, all of which have protected important habitat for vulnerable creatures like steelhead salmon and red-legged frogs. Kellyx has led, too, by action. When she joined the RCD, it was a small office. No staff, scarce projects, and little in the way of funding. But she helped build a team of now 26 conservationists just like her that have tackled some of the thorniest problems in our region. I'll give you the example of Pescadero Marsh, a restoration project that every other restoration agency before hers had written off as impossible. Too many jurisdictions, too many stakeholders, but it was Kellyx and her team that made it happen. They brought actors to the table and got people willing to talk, willing to listen, and willing to act. But what makes Kellyx a hero isn't just what she's done, it's also the fact that she's forging a path for others to do the same. In 2019, she founded the Cutting Green Tape Initiative. It's brought together federal agencies, nonprofits, and perhaps many of you here in this room, all to find new ways to simplify old regulations, to cut across bureaucracy, and to get things done. So thank you, Kellyx, for your conservation action, but also for making conservation action an easier task for all of us. Please join me in welcoming our 2024 local hero, Kellyx Nelson.
Wow, hello, you beautiful people. It's a very welcoming room for me because I stocked it with all my people. Anushya, that was a really heartwarming welcome. Thank you. And thank you to Bay Nature for your beautiful publication that has incredible images and inspiration and in-depth articles that connect us all to these lands that we love and elevate our practice generally. And thanks for creating this forum for all of us to celebrate and come together. And it's a tremendous honor to share this podium today with these other conservation heroes. I feel very lucky to be part of this. And Yakuta, who I think is a shining light. I called Yakuta after I Googled how to accept an award. And it said, say thank you, so thank you. And it say that you're honored. I feel very honored. And then it didn't say what to do about that panic, so I called Yakuta, and I was like, what about if I give a speech about you and you give a speech about me? Because I could talk about her for days. So thanks for talking me down from the ledge for that. And also, can we just talk about this artistic interpretation of me? You may have noticed that I have one shoe untied. I'm like, who knew? And so I asked a bunch of people about it, and they're all like, yeah, that tracks. So anyway, now back to my professional self. Let's see, how does this work? Am I doing it right? There we go. I am lucky, lucky, lucky. I get to do what I love. What I love to do matters, and I get paid for it. And here today, I'm being told that I'm good at it. We should all be so lucky. And Spider and Cricket, my children, my son Spider, my daughter Cricket, this is what I want for you. I was born in 1970. My dad, who flew out from the East Coast for this event, thanks, Dad. He had a parenting philosophy that went like this. Here is a forest, and it has a creek, and over there is a lake. See you at dinner time. And so I grew up essentially feral. Today, the term of art is free-range parenting, and there are books on it. And oops. In the 1970s, the technical term that we used was childhood. So my dad spent magical childhood summers in the 1940s and 50s on a lake in Canada with a cabin accessible only by boat. Norman Rockwell couldn't make this stuff up. And so he made sure that my childhood was full of unstructured, unfettered outdoor play. Imagine my surprise in the mid-1980s, now living in New York City, for me to discover that others did not grow up trespassing for days on end, building forts in trees and logs and caves, scrambling over dams to see what kind of trouble they could get into, digging holes to China, and catching all sorts of unfortunate wild critters and otherwise obligating themselves to a future career in conservation to mitigate for their youthful endeavors. So when I did discover this truth that not everyone was raised the way that I did, so began a 14-year career in environmental education for me, connecting kids and communities to the transformative experiences that only nature offers, whether it's in a city park or out in the wilderness. There were also a few dalliances that largely involved delivering stuff via trucks and motorcycles that we can talk about, those career blips and the reception afterwards. And then I made the move about 23 years ago to focus directly on the land itself, instead of all those people. And what did I find? 18 years yesterday was my anniversary at the RCD. And what did I find is that it's still all about the people. People live, work, and play on these lands and actively manage them. People who protect open spaces, many of you here, I saw you walking in, Brian. People who study biodiversity and climate change and do the essential science. People who grow the food and the lumber that we consumers need, who are managing those lands. People who maintain the roads and highways and bridges that cross over the rivers and land and are managing our land. Environmental advocates and naturalists, the workers who operate the equipment to do the restoration projects that are in our magazines. Environmental advocates and naturalists, I mentioned them, the indigenous stewards who persist despite near eradication of their people and they're trying to find their traditional ways. The volunteers and the boards of directors for all of our organizations, the philanthropists, the voters, and the taxpayers who support conservation, they're people. And this understanding is what brought me to resource conservation districts, or RCDs. These little engines that could, these forms of local government, are the best form of local government that you've never heard of, or many of you haven't. RCDs were created in the 1930s. There are nearly 100 of us in California from end to end, and thousands more across the nation. We are in every county of the Bay Area. We work where we're invited, across public and private lands, across farms and ranches and forests and people's backyards, as well as open space preserves, local, state, and national parks to get conservation done. And this idea that I could help people help the land, that I could help the land by helping people, and that I could help people by helping the land, was a revelation to me. And to this day, it's extraordinary to me, and is why I'm still doing this same work in the same place 18 years later. And I'm pinching myself that this is what I get to do every day. If any of you see my social media profiles, it's kind of sad how much I post about work. I don't have a lot of boundaries around it because I don't want to. The Bay Area and California and the planet cannot address the existential crises of climate change and species extinction without all of these people, all of you, all of us. And hey, Bay Area folks, this includes Republicans. And when we come together across political parties, across conservation and working lands, what does it look like? It looks like these recent accomplishments for our RCD. Endangered salmon can complete their ancestral migrations and spawn another generation when we remove dams and rivers run free. Thriving populations of pollinators support habitats as well as agriculture. Farms and ranches work with nature to draw greenhouse gases down from the environment, or from the atmosphere where they're detrimental, and store them in rich soils that are literally at the root of our ecosystems. Restored habitat gives threatened and endangered species like these guys a fighting chance to survive. And turns out when we restore nature's ability to do its work, it reduces the risks from natural disasters, from flooding to drought to wildfire that affect our human communities. And put it all together, and what do you get? You get resilience. Now, I'm not a biologist or a hydrologist or a forester or an agronomist or a soil scientist or an engineer or an equipment operator that knocks down dams. I do, however, have an uncanny ability to attract good people and weave them into conservation. That's my superpower. There are a few RCD staff here today. Y'all tried to hide in the front top row. Can you stand up? Come on. Thank you. These guys are the conservation heroes. These guys are the heroes that actually do the work that I'm talking about. And my mama posse that's sitting up there. All the times that you picked my kids up or dropped them off and welcomed them into your homes, and in so many different ways made it possible for me to focus on conservation, you're conservation heroes. And Brian, my beautiful husband, who supports every aspect of my career, the crazy hours, some pretty outlandish decisions that I make all the time. You're a conservation hero. And my personal conservation heroes that I turn to for advice and wisdom, the most top-notch people in this field from whom I'm constantly learning, Sharon Farrell and Jim Robbins. No one in this world can bring people together to collaborate around a vision of landscape stewardship like Sharon Farrell. And no one in this world can get a complex, high-priority restoration project in the ground like Jim Robbins. I learn so much from you every day. Oh my gosh, you're sitting together. Oh, I was like, Jim's not here. I'm so sad, but okay. So, Cricket, when you're going through a tough spell, and I ask if you need forest time, invariably you say yes, and we go have an adventure. And you have such wisdom and intuition to know the medicine that nature offers you, and you remind me of that truth. And Spider, you are my modern-day Charles Darwin. As you stay up to watch the nocturnal drama unfold of predators in a pond at night when we're backpacking, or when you make us late because you have to run around the edge of every parking lot looking for lizards, you're both my heroes too. And I want to thank you both for inspiring me and keeping me on this path, because I want you and your friends, those are your kids and all of your kids, to be part of a future that has wild rivers, rich soils, historic populations of salmon, choruses of frogs, and the hush of redwood forests. You give me hope. And in case anyone here is hiring the next generation of conservation scientists, Spider has been mapping colonies of native and invasive ants in our backyard, and he's looking for a summer job. Thank you.
How about one more hand for Yakuta and Kellyx? That was wonderful. Alrighty. Well, as is hopefully becoming ever clearer, together we are an essential Bay Area nature community. And now I'd like to ask for you to help us strengthen our community by making a donation to Bay Nature. I'd like to share with you a bit about the challenges we're facing and how Bay Nature and all of us here together today are essential parts of a solution. So we're gathered here this afternoon, of course, at the intersection of two pretty critical societal needs: responding to the climate crisis and fighting disinformation. Unfortunately, we see every day how extreme weather, natural disasters, polluted air and water, and sea level rise demand that we make decisions and solve problems with nature and climate in mind. At the same time, last November, the Associated Press reported that 2.5 local news outlets closed each week during 2023, with AI, fabricated clickbait, and outright propaganda ready to fill that void. So amidst this hopeless backdrop, however, the Bay Nature community and Bay Nature itself provide a source of empowerment. Why? Well, it's because at this moment of climate upheaval that calls for us to fundamentally change our relationship with nature, it's required that we remain in relationship with each other. This is a long game. This isn't a project that's going to end in the fourth quarter of this year. And to keep in that long game, community is required for us to persist, to urge us on, and to keep us engaged in this fight. After all, before we were land managers, before we were journalists, before we were policymakers or philanthropists, we're a community of learning and engagement. Bay Nature feeds our curiosity, fills us with inspiration, and provides the information to fuel problem solving for these defining challenges of our time. So I want to assure you all that Bay Nature Magazine, the Bay Nature Magazine you have known and loved for all of these years, isn't changing. What you can expect from us is for us to grow and nourish this community from our pages, deepening our connections with nature and each other. Now, having said all of that, we'd also like to show you how we intend to explore, learn, and engage to continue growing together. All right, I have to be honest, that actually makes me a little bit emotional watching that. All right, so here's how this is going to work this afternoon. We have a big goal. Every year when we get together, we try to raise $20,000 from this fantastic community to support our programs and our work. We have about 200 people here this afternoon, so it works out to just a little bit. It's like $100 or $150 a person. It's really not that much. It shows what we can all do together when we work together. We're going to have a lot of different opportunities, starting from $1,000 all the way down to $50. So wherever you feel most comfortable slotting yourself in, your support will be gratefully received and appreciated. I should mention that if you find yourself with the circumstances to support us at those higher dollar amounts, it really helps out by lifting folks who perhaps would love to support us at those higher dollar amounts, but don't have those circumstances themselves. So thank you for being as generous as you possibly can as we go through this. So the way it's going to work, you've got a paddle on the back of your program. It's got a number on it. As I did last year, I will assure you that nothing bad can happen by raising that paddle. It's certainly a pathway to good things happening to you in life and beyond. And we have a couple members of our team who will collect your pledges as we go through. Before we get started, I need to recognize someone who is very special with us here today, who kicks off our fundraising every year, and that's Jorgen Hildebrand. Jorgen, if you don't know Jorgen has been a Bay Nature supporter since 2001. He is 97 years old, and just until recently was an avid hiker. He told me that he came to know Bay Nature by shaking David Loeb's hand in 2001 on a hike. So it shows the persistence of these relationships and the strength of these relationships. Every year, Jorgen kicks off our fundraising with a $5,000 challenge to all of us to match him and to grow his gift. So Jorgen, I wonder whether you might kick off our fundraising this afternoon by raising your paddle at the $5,000 level. Oh, no, he's thinking about it. Oh, no. Thank you, Jorgen. And thank you for your friendship. All right, so the first opportunity we have this afternoon is at the $1,000 level. I mentioned to you in my introductory remarks that back in January, Bay Nature launched its first membership program. So for $40 a year, what $40 a year as a Bay Nature member gets you is a year of Bay Nature magazine in both print and digital formats, free access to our guided hike program, all of our online educational seminars, plus discounted rates to ticket events like these local hero awards. In fact, if you had applied that discounted rate to today's ticket, you pretty much paid for an entire year. You saved the cost of an entire year of membership. So it's no surprise that when we tell people what you get for a Bay Nature membership, the most common reaction is, what an amazing deal. What an amazing deal. And the reason why it's an amazing deal is because of the generosity of our biggest donors. The generosity of our biggest donors allows us to keep these prices low and make them as broadly accessible as possible across the community. We are able to offer even deeper discounts to educators, government employees, students, and nonprofit staff, and we keep all of our content free online all year long. So if you're able to support us this afternoon at the $1,000 level, we're proud to recognize you as a member of our Publisher Circle for the next year as well. So I'm going to take a deep breath and ask this great community, who in this audience can support Bay Nature as a leader at the $1,000 level? Do we have 5 people in the audience who can join Jorgen? We'd love to see your paddles. We have 1 here, 2 here, 3, 4, and 5. Fantastic, we did it. Thank you. Unbelievable. And we have a gentleman here on the aisle who's pledged $5,000 to match Jorgen. So thank you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all. All right, our next opportunity is at the $500 level. And I have to mention, we're going to make this really fun this afternoon, you guys. We have lots of opportunities to support things that we know are near and dear to your heart. So if you're not having fun by the end of this, you can hold me accountable for that. Okay, so growing our community, like we mentioned in the video and some of the other remarks, requires a really significant expansion of our guided hike and online seminar program. Our goal is both to increase the number of events that we produce, but also to produce them to the same level of quality that you've come to expect from Bay Nature magazine, and that's going to take a lot of work. Recently, we've traveled to places like Sears Point, Año Nuevo, Mount Diablo, to Presidio, and so many points in between. We've conducted online seminars about mushrooms, all of our mushroom heads, humpback whales, tarantulas, and coho salmon. And we have plans, watch for us. July 1st, we plan to double the number of events that we produce this year to engage all of you from the pages of our magazine. So we'd like to invite you to participate at the $500 level. You would become part of the financial backbone of Bay Nature at this level. 30% of our annual income comes from donors $500 or more. So for a small nonprofit, a $500 gift is really meaningful to the work that we do. In exchange, we're going to recognize you as an underwriter for the next year of our hikes and online seminar program. So we're going to thank you at each one of those events. And we're going to give you the opportunity to nominate a hike destination for us in the next year so that we can go out and have some fun together out in nature. So I'd love to ask if you are interested in supporting our hikes and our online educational programs, who here can support us at the $500 level? We'd love to see those paddles. Thanks very much. We have several over here, several here in the middle, and then one over here on the end. Unbelievable. Thanks very much. I count 10 individuals. That's incredible. Thank you very much for your support. Okay, at the $250 level, one thing that you've told us loud and clear over the last year is how important it is to this community that we attract the next generation of environmentalists and naturalists. So in response, last August, Bay Nature launched our Bay Nature in the Schools program with your support. Generous donors allowed us to share Bay Nature magazine with 200 students and their teachers at 8 Bay Area middle schools, where they're using Bay Nature to create all sorts of stories and word art and deeper immersion into their scientific curriculum than they were able to have previously. So what we'd like to do at the $250 level is for you to then double that impact later this year when we run this program again. So what we're going to ask is anyone who donates at the $250 level, you're going to seed our match for our Bay Nature in the Schools program this August. So every dollar we raise here today is going to be doubled by donors later on this fall. So if you love the schools program and you want to get Bay Nature, I'd love to get to 500 students this year. I mean, 1,000 is my big wish. But if you want to help us get there and get Bay Nature into the hands of more students, I'd love to ask to see your paddles now at the $250 level. Who wants to get Bay Nature into schools? Yes, thank you. Thanks very, very much. This is incredible. Keep them up. Barbara's almost got you. Barbara's almost got you. This is a wonderful problem to have. There are too many paddles to count. Okay, and then to conclude our fundraising this afternoon, we appreciate you so much. We have a $100 opportunity and then a $50 opportunity. This is my favorite one of the entire afternoon. I think it's going to be your favorite too. You should take full confidence that when you give money to Bay Nature, that we absolutely make that run as far as we can. No dollar goes unwasted, and the greatest evidence of that is that we run our equipment into the ground. We run this stuff until it cannot run any longer. Does anyone here remember what we were able to retire with your support last year? Printers, exactly. Our terrible, long-lived printers were finally put out to pasture because of the generosity of the people in this room. So I want to share with you, first of all, here's one of our new printers, all right? We were able, because of the people in this room, we were able to buy Night Heron and Huckleberry, both of which sit proudly in our office. We would not have bought them. We would have kept those printers limping along for another 5 years without your support. So we want to provide you with another opportunity to really do for us what we cannot allow ourselves to do for ourselves, and that is set more things out to pasture. So like many of you in your organizations, Bay Nature is preparing for the next generation of hybrid work. We're out of this pandemic, but we're figuring out exactly how to work together in this post-pandemic hybrid reality. And in order to do that, the thing that we are really lacking at the moment is new office furniture. New office furniture, because our current furniture in the office, basically, if you really loved attending Berkeley High in the 1970s, you would look at our office furniture and say, that looks awfully familiar. These chairs are elevators with no predictable destination. You will rise and fall. These desks feature corners that leave a mark. I know that from personal experience. And I think I'm looking at David right now, but I'm fairly certain that one of those chairs is your original chair. Yeah, exactly. And if we can figure that out, we will make sure that a donor today, it's like buying your seat at the Oakland Coliseum or something one of these days, right? So if we are able to raise, if we're able to get to 100% participation in this room, I am confident it'll give us the money we need to put all of this out to pasture. And just like our printers, everything gets named. We will put it out to you to name all of the new chairs and all the new tables that come into our office. This is going to be an amazing opportunity. All right, so would you please help the Bay Nature staff put our office chairs and our desks out to pasture with a gift this afternoon of $100. Who can help us with $100 in our new hybrid reality? Thank you very much. We appreciate you so much. We will literally think of you every time we sit down. All right, and then for everyone else, to finish off our fundraising in the afternoon, who is comfortable with a gift for $50 to help us put our office desks and our chairs out to pasture? Can we see those paddles at $50 so that we can all say yes this afternoon? Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We had one over here on the right. All right. Well, listen, very, very sincerely, on behalf of our entire team, your support is what makes us go. We couldn't do this work without all of you. So your support is very genuinely appreciated, and we'll look forward when we get together for our reception upstairs. We'll share with you how we did and how much money we were able to fundraise, not only for Bay Nature but for this community. So thank you very much for your support, and we'll return you to the program.
All right. I'm here to introduce you to Naji Lockett, who is Bay Nature's 2024 Young Leader Awardee. I'm going to tell you a bit about Naji because I don't think he's going to tell you himself. Naji Lockett is just 24 years old. Naji is third generation native West Oakland. Naji is a low-key, easygoing guy until he plays basketball. According to his supervisor, Stephen Addison, then he is an animal on the court. Naji is the youngest employee of Civicor, a nonprofit in West Oakland that trains young people for green jobs, meeting young adults wherever they are in life. Naji works outdoors in the East Bay Hills, 8 hours a day, 4 days a week, 12 months a year, rain or heat. Naji is a leader of a team of his peers. Together, they are preparing the wildlands in the East Bay Hills to survive and thrive during wildfires. They're carefully removing dead branches, bark, overgrowth, so that fire can safely burn on public lands. Everyone in this room is benefiting from Naji and his team's work. Wildlife is benefiting too. Naji has seen and helped protect scorpions, newts, wood rats, bobcats, coyotes, and much more. Naji's empathy for his peers and his lead by example work style help his peers and his team help themselves on those long days. Naji's worked hard for 6 years to develop the physical and mental strength to do his job. According to his boss, Steve, Naji has grit. He is a young man who is, in my opinion, at the vanguard of this areas, the states, and a nationwide movement towards green jobs for young people, and Naji is the role model. As he told me when we were doing our interview for his profile, he can go anywhere from here. And that's going to make me cry. He also told me that he attributes much of his success to the Civicor supervisors and his team. I want to know if you are here to celebrate Naji Lockett. Raise your hand. Naji Lockett has a fan club. So, on behalf of Bay Nature, I'd like to present the 2024 Young Leader Award to Naji Lockett, which comes with a $500 grant for professional development.
Well, thank you everyone for helping me out a little bit. Also, thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Wes, for having me and the whole Bay Nature community. And I wanted to say I would donate, but I spent all my money on this suit. So. But first, I want to just kick you guys off on like what I do and like where I've worked at. So right here, it's a lot going on. So basically, the trees are like pointing down towards the ground, and so what we want to do is like make it visible. Oh, thank you. We want to make it visible to where we can see the parking lot. And most importantly, like when I started this project, I was working along with ACFC, Alameda County Flood Control. And so what they wanted to do was make this visible. And I got it done. Just give me a second. Okay, here we go. And same spot, I was working with ACFC, Alameda County Flood Control. They wanted to take out this humongous bush. And we got it done, so, you know. Before y'all say anything, it's not a bunch of sticks. So what I was doing here, I was working in Tilden Park and with a park ranger. His name is Colin. And what he wanted to do was everything that was dry, he wanted to make burn piles out of it, that eucalyptus, and like bring nutrients to the soil. So when it does burn, it won't create ladder fuels and like burn up the tree bark. And we got it done. So right here, it got bigger, of course. So we included bay trees as well because they were all around at the time. In this picture, we finished it off. We put dry wrap on top. So when it's time for it to burn in season, everything will dry out, and then we'll get ready to burn. I know it looks like a jungle, but all this dry eucalyptus, same thing. I was working in Tilden Park with Colin, and like I said before, he wanted to bring all the eucalyptus down so it won't create a ladder fire. So I got that done too for him. Yeah, it's a mess. But let me explain. So basically, same thing. He wanted to build a windrow pile. So basically, we tear everything like down naturally, making sure it grows healthily and whatnot. So here, we did that. We tore everything down. You can see all the bay trees and stuff in a pile. And so they bring this machine called a masticator. So when they bring it, it chews everything up and then it spits everything out. So it'll possibly grow back. Same thing, a little like a mess. Like got dry branches and stuff. Got a whole dry plank of wood growing in between there. Same thing, we took it out. We started creating a whole windrow pile. So it went on for like a mile or two. And right here, I'm working in Mount Diablo currently. So what we did here with my good friend, Mr. Chilcott, somewhere out in the crowd, he helped me work with these park rangers and basically saddle me up to like work with them and like get to what is expected, especially in their terms, and showing my young peers on what to do here. And y'all already know. I got that done. Same here. We were working in Mount Diablo, but we weren't on top of the mountain just yet. It's a lot of dry, I want to say, dry oak tree. Basically, it was already down, but we basically went there and cleaned it up. There you go. But while I have everyone's full attention, I just wanted to show all my photos first before I gave out my piece. When I first joined Civic Corps, I was a student at Laney College. With uncertainty about my future, I had little job knowledge and wasn't sure what was next for me. But even with uncertainty, I was ready to make a change and begin to start a new journey with Civic Corps, not knowing what will come of it. My path to becoming a supervisor was not straightforward. I faced hardship and I felt like I was being picked on. And what I mean by picked on, not like a little kid, like being picked on, like I mean like chosen to do the hardest tasks, picked on, even due to my age, type of picked on. And I'm not saying I wasn't ready for it. It was just something I was getting used to. As I faced hardship, I felt like, I said that. My supervisor at the time was Molly Sella. Also wish she could be here. She saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. During my time on Molly Sella's crew, she taught me how to use tools properly, build my work ethic and strength, and encourage me every day, and I'm thankful for it. During my time on Molly Sella's crew, she showed me, wrong line. In August 2022, I was put on Danny Swift's crew where he helped me improve my professionalism, and because of that, I am often complimented on how well I work with staff at different project sites and how quickly and efficiently my crew and I complete our work. Because of the support I had and the things I learned, I was able to step out of my comfort zone and try for crew leader positions. But I faced disappointments on the way, and I was not promoted to crew leader too. This setback, however, only fueled my determination. I pushed through, attended Crew Leader Academy, and eventually I achieved my goal. And in May 2022, I became a conservation crew supervisor where I could be the person I needed to be, and especially growing up with my Corps members. Being a supervisor is not a responsibility I take lightly, especially since many of these young adults are my peers, facing similar circumstances and challenges through this work. I've learned the importance of guidance, understanding, and patience. You might ask, why do I do this work? I do this type of work because it has a very big impact on nature itself, and also it's a reminder to myself that we as people can make a difference in any community as long as we're doing the proper diligence, maintenance, and patience. As I reflect on my journey from a confused college student to a supervisor at Civic Corps, I want you to know that you're capable of achieving great things. Every challenge you face is an opportunity for growth and learning. Embrace each day with positivity, enthusiasm, knowing that you have the strength and resilience to overcome any obstacle that comes your way. Keep moving forward with confidence in anything you do. Your potential will be limitless and your future is bright. I would also like to thank my mom for being here. Thank you, Molly Sarah, Danny, and my conservation manager, Stephen Addison, for nominating me for the Local Heroes Award, and to Civic Corps and my crew for your support. And it's an honor to be recognized for doing work that I deeply believe in. Thank you.
It was a good talk. Let's do it again. Wait, where am I? Oh. Oh, thank you. What have I done? Oh, we did it. Thank you, community. I'm Kate Golden. I'm the digital editor at Bay Nature. It's lovely to see you all here. Recently, I was researching a piece about the San Francisco Bay, and Victoria lent me a natural history of the San Francisco Bay. On the cover is a lady in a wetsuit doing something with a net. Friends, that was none other than our last local hero of the evening, Katharyn Boyer. And she was characteristically all up in that eelgrass. To me, seeing this spoke to just how essential Kathy and her work have become to the story of the Bay. She is literally on the cover. Now, Kathy, a professor at San Francisco State University, is the interim director of the university's Estuary and Ocean Science Center, aka the EOS Center, which is where people go to learn how to rescue our shorelines from climate change. There, she teaches a class on restoration ecology for which there is no textbook, because she and others doing this kind of work are in the thick of figuring it out right now. Now, it is very glamorous work, this kind of science. What size pebbles do you need to keep the bay from slipping into the ocean? How do you make an artificial reef that a person can lift so that you can actually invite volunteers to help? Kathy's kind of instruction involves dragging students into the actual weeds, as well as into the more metaphorical weeds of the American regulatory landscape. Lately, she has been working hard to keep the EOS Center going because SF State decided not to keep funding it after nearly a half century. Kathy and her colleagues have big dreams for the EOS Center, and they have been raking in some grant money. Well, we regret that Kathy could not be here today, but we have Evan Borgness-Sloan here to accept on Kathy's behalf and say more about her work. Evan works at the Coastal Conservancy, and she was one of Kathy's many devoted former grad students, and today she is a collaborator with Kathy. Evan, thank you for being here today, and before I present this award, we want to share this moment with Kathy later and show her how much the Bay Nature community appreciates her work. So I have my colleague Anushuya here. Are you here? Okay. To take a video of you all, which means that you best make yourselves heard. So, Evan, on behalf of Bay Nature, I present to you the 2024 Environmental Educator Award for Dr. Katharyn Boyer. Make some noise for Katharyn.
That was incredible. Thank you so much. And I've just been so inspired by all of the speakers here today so far. So as Kate mentioned, I'm Evan Borgness-Sloan. I'm a current colleague of Kathy's and her former graduate student. I currently work at the California State Coastal Conservancy, where I'm our Deputy San Francisco Bay Program Manager, and can confidently say that my career success so far is in large part due to Kathy's mentorship and friendship. I'm honored to be accepting this award on her behalf, and I know she's greatly saddened to not be here. I'd like to take this time to quickly share why I nominated her along with other people and why she's so deserving of this award. So Dr. Katharyn Boyer is currently the acting director at San Francisco State's EOS Center, as mentioned, as well as a professor of biology and a leading researcher in tidal wetlands, eelgrass, living shorelines, and other nature-based adaptation solutions, trying to combat the impacts to climate change on San Francisco Bay. But if you ask her students from her undergraduate classes, her graduate students, her colleagues, or her friends, she's so much more. Kathy takes her students under her wing in a uniquely personal way. She becomes genuinely interested in her students' lives and careers, and makes every effort to help them, whether that be through letters of recommendation, tireless guidance on master's thesis or publications, by always helping and having an open door for connection and moral support. Kathy is loved by her students for her down-to-earth, warm personality, and her ability to connect with students is one of her attributes that make her an exceptional environmental educator. She's my science mother, but she's also a real mother to her son, Neil, who is next to her in this photo on the left, and who's also in the audience today. Neil, you're gonna have to introduce yourself afterwards. The last time I saw you, I think you were 10 years old and we were playing Magic the Gathering, yes! She's an important, strong female role model for young women in the sciences. I know for me personally, she really demonstrated that it was possible to be dedicated to your work in restoration science and still be a great mother. So I'd like to quote one of her former students and a colleague of mine, Gavin Archibald from H.T. Harvey and Associates. He said, "I have lost count of all the times and ways that Kathy has helped me grow professionally. She hired me to work in her lab as an undergraduate and later as a teacher's assistant. She helped me become a graduate fellow with the South Bay Salt Pond Restoration Project, apply for numerous scholarships and grants, design my master's experiments, and help me publish in 2 different journals. She was the person who connected the dots for me, helped me successfully discover and navigate the bridge between school and a career as an environmental scientist." And while she is extremely busy guiding numerous undergraduate and graduate students, Kathy is also leading the charge in real on-the-ground restoration of several different habitat types and species in San Francisco Bay. For example, the California sea blight, or Sueda californica, was previously extirpated from San Francisco Bay. Her friend and fellow ecologist Peter Bay had the idea of reintroducing the plant to San Francisco Bay, and of course, Kathy grounded that idea in reality. She led the reintroduction at 3 sites in San Francisco Bay, while also studying the species to understand anything her and her students could do to help ensure its success, like discovering that sea blight thrives when placed with dead eelgrass at its base, feeding the plant with nutrients. She moved beyond simple reintroduction, though, and started studying how the plant provides benefits to the overall ecosystem function, like providing high tide refugia for species when planted in a way so that it could crawl up sticks and other plants called arboring. She also works with systemically excluded communities in restoring this species by partnering with Literacy for Environmental Justice in San Francisco, bringing students out to help with the restoration efforts and talking to them about what it's like to be a wetland ecologist and restoration practitioner. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Bay Nature did an article on Kathy and Peter's work on Sueda in the July 2016 issue. Go check that out. Kathy has also led the charge on applied research and of eelgrass restoration, but not just the research. She is actually the entity leading the restoration efforts themselves on the ground, an amazing feat for such a small biology lab at San Francisco State. Kathy and her students have managed to establish the best restoration techniques for eelgrass in San Francisco Bay. Keith Merkel, another leader in eelgrass restoration across the state, said, "Kathy has been a leader in the field of restoration research when it comes to eelgrass in San Francisco Bay. She and her students at the EOS lab have participated in over 25 eelgrass restoration programs and pilot planting studies in the Bay, advancing education, research, and habitat restoration over the past 2 decades. Her contributions have contributed to 75 acres of new eelgrass in the Bay, including persistent new eelgrass meadows. Since 2014, she has participated in restoration of an average of more than 2 acres of eelgrass per year, with targeted natural expansion from this restoration. Key to her contribution to Bay eelgrass habitat is the integration of student research and educational experiences in the restoration programs to foster greater gains in the future of environmental sustainability." Her work spans the whole wetland ecosystem, though, from the subtidal all the way to the wetland upland edge. Her and her students continue to study the best methods for restoring tidal marsh communities and species in the face of climate change. She has also partnered with my agency, and in particular my colleague Marilyn Lotta, to establish a decade's worth of strong science on the biological and physical benefits of living shorelines in San Francisco Bay. She continues to demonstrate to restoration practitioners, funders, regulators, academics, communities, and more the benefits of utilizing nature in the fight against sea level rise. Her applied research, restoration activities, and direct input has provided critical information for large planning documents and policies, including her role in the San Francisco Bay Subtidal Habitat Goals Report. Her and her students are now studying the potential for ocean acidification reduction from eelgrass restoration as science that would have direct input to California climate policy efforts. This is a rendering from Bionic during the Resilient by Design work in San Rafael, which I just thought was too cool to not include. And all of this on-the-ground restoration in science is hard. The conditions are wet, salty, windy, and very, very muddy. She has adopted the best method to get across the mudflats called the mud scoop and will always bring joy to this difficult field work. Finally, I have to highlight her leadership role at the EOS Center. As an alumni of EOS, I have experienced the importance of this educational and research center on my academic and professional career. EOS provides high caliber scientific training in estuarine and ocean sciences, so much so that everyone calls the master's thesis their mini PhDs. Her leadership in keeping the EOS Center strong by finding numerous grant funding, outreach for private funding support, and demonstrating the benefits of the center to a wide audience are incomparable. She's a visionary for the Estuarine Ocean Science Center, keeping the dream of transformation strong, as can be seen in this drawing. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Johnson. I'm honored to be the board chair for Bay Nature. And I want all of us to take like a little bit of a breath together. We just heard from some incredible people, just raised a lot of money for this incredible organization. And I was thinking, as everyone was talking, about what we heard today and how all of the different skills and expertise and life experiences that our heroes represent and told us about, and how, to me, they really truly represent the community that we are as Bay Nature, and how it takes all of these different types of people doing all of these different things to really build a Bay area that works for people and nature. And so I can't think of 4 different people to hear about that really exemplify that. And I'm just so proud of the work that they all do, and to call them colleagues and now maybe friends for some of them that I'm just meeting. But that Bay Nature is the vehicle and the venue that brings us all together today. But then also, as we read the pages of the magazine or go on a hike or listen to a talk, that we're all doing that together and we're all learning from each other all the time. And that's what it takes, right? It's all those skills and expertise and being able to continue to learn together. And we're doing it. But we have to keep on working to do it, to bring more people into this fold, to increase our membership, to bring more voices and more perspectives, because that's what it's going to take. And so I want to thank you for being here today, for all of your support for Bay Nature, for your support of these amazing people. And I think that's all we're going to say for today. But first, we have a reception upstairs, but before we head upstairs, we're going to take a picture all together. In order to do that, we have an amazing photographer who's going to snap our photo, but we need to kind of squeeze in. So for those folks that are in these 2 side areas, if you can like gather up your things, because after this, you're gonna go upstairs, and just kind of squeeze in as much as you can into these aisles. And we'll take our photo. And after the photo is done, we'll go upstairs.